Okay, we're going to continue with the stepping form, and we're going to do road 4. Road 4 in the stepping form is based on a ghost theory. That's what we call it, is ghost or two-dimensional theory. It has to do with moving in more than one dimension at a time. And this is why it's confusing. People tend to have a hard time learning it. And what's great about it, though, is once you learn this set and you understand how to move this way, people have a hard time sort of tracking you and targeting you. Not because, you know, you're a ghost and you can't be seen, but because you're moving in unexpected directions, okay? And it's really an important part of drunken style. So, if we think about our natural world, we live in a three-dimensional natural world, the physical dimensions, height, width, and depth. So, most of the time, we only really use one of those dimensions when we move. We move forward or backward. Width, perhaps. We move left and right. Perhaps that's up and down. So if you were to take a model like this, call this height, call this one width, and we were to drop that onto the floor, so that you had basically north, south, east, and west. I like to use height and width because I usually end up doing this on a whiteboard. But north, south, east, and west. Generally speaking, when you do a movement, a step, you're moving on one of those dimensions. You're either moving forward or back, which would be height, north or south, or you'd be moving left or right, which is width, east or west. Our other stepping forms, and I'll just draw them out real quick for you. Road 1 goes forward and backward. Road 2 goes back and forth. Road 3, we did these angles here, but they were straight. And road 4, obviously, we're going to be doing these angles. And that way we can create a picture basically on the floor, if you were to do this in sand, of our fighting diagram, which is a bagua. But road 4 doesn't move in straight lines, like every other road does. It's got curves inside of it, and they're kind of hidden inside the steps. So, we're trying to move in two dimensions at once. Doing this, we'd still call that one dimension because we could move these lines over, and it's just a single line. There's no curving involved. There's no changing of direction. What we want to do is make our directions change mid-step. This would be what we call a ghost or a two-dimensional step. And that's what we do in road 4. We kind of step back and forth all the way through the set. Sort of looks like that on the floor. But that, I mean, if you just look at it, how much more confusing is that to follow just with your eye, let alone having an opponent moving that way with their body. That's what we're after here, okay? So, you want to make sure that you move basically halfway through a step, change direction, and then complete the step in the other half. If you're able to do that, you'll be moving in two dimensions at once, and while somebody may seem to be coming towards you, they might be moving towards you and to the side, and it's not all at once, so it's not easy to track. It's not like a baseball flying through the air, where your brain can just calculate the arc. The arc is changing really rapidly, really sharply. So there's multiple calculations your brain has to do to make sure that it understands where somebody is. If you can get this form down and you understand how to move in this way, then opponents will have a tough time understanding where you are and why you're there. I don't think I can explain it any clearer than that, unless anybody who's here watching has any questions for me to answer about it. No? Everybody's all good? Okay, so road 4, we're going to complete the diagram. We're going to be moving backwards in these two quadrants. So we'll move back over into the school, and we'll work through road 4. Okay, so let's do the movement in road 4. The applications are pretty much covered already, honestly. You're either turning your body and creating arm breaks or leg breaks with that, destabilization movements, throws, or cutting out the base with each step. If you understand that, you can basically look at this form and just do it and understand how it's applied. We're going to talk more about the movement, because the movement's what's important. So, at the beginning of the set, I'm in my horse in road 4. I'm going to stand up on my left leg to a right crane, turn 90 degrees, and step back. So what I'm trying to do is, as you can see here, is I'm drawing a straight line, but I'm doing it with a funny little curve or an angle inside of it. So my body still moves where it would have moved had I just sort of taken a step. But the way my body rotates makes me appear to move in kind of a more confusing way. The second movement is my left leg all the way up into crane and 180 degrees. And then step back. So again, it seems like you're taking the long way to get somewhere, but the whole idea is you become very confusing. So again, right leg, back, left leg, 180, back. Now the next movement, I'll do it here and I'll do it facing the camera, is a block with your right hand and then over top with a big punch into a crane stance. So from the side here, my right hand would be here. My right hand comes over, blocks, grabs the opponent, and pulls them into my punch, hitting with a fist. Okay, it's a pretty basic punch. From there, step straight back with your right leg. Left leg up, 180 degrees. Step back. Turn to face the front. Sweep out. That's one side. The other side is mirror image, so it's left leg back, 90 degrees. Right leg, 180 degrees. Make your punch. Left hand blocks, right hand punches, step back with your left leg. 180 degrees. Turn to the front, sweep out. And this would be 2 sweeps out because you're ending the set there. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you guys not an application, but a hand movement. And then what we're going to do is we're going to combine the two. So this hand movement is called Dragon Surf's Tea. And what we're doing is we're bringing a teacup, we imagine in our hand, back, through, under our arm, behind us. From there, around, over your head, and back to where you began. So you go through, around, and back. Okay? The reason this is important is this is a multiple dimensional movement. It's moving in almost every part of a sphere all at the same time. One movement after another. And it's what your legs are doing. So if I just do this movement at a little bit higher speed, it starts to look kind of strange and hard to follow. And that's the whole idea behind what our legs are doing. It makes our body move through space like that, even though it's difficult to see. And I don't know how it's going to turn out on a camera, honestly, but it's difficult to see. I'm going to just do the form nice and slow, really slow, but I'm going to let my hands mirror my feet through the set. So I'm going to start with my 2 teacups. Step up and through. Step up and through. Here's our punch. Now, that's really what your legs are doing. You're not really seeing it, it's not going over your head and all that crazy stuff, but the legs are mirror imaging this movement over and over on every step. That subsequently makes my body turn and turn back on every step. So when I start to do my drunken boxing, I'm no longer walking in maybe a confusing manner down here, but my torso just moving. It's too easy to see. I'm trying to move everything in multiple dimensions at the same time so that you appear to be in kind of a place that maybe you were a second ago or will be in the future, but never sort of where you are. At high speed, people have been known to just sort of miss when people are moving like this. And that's what Road 4 is teaching. So it's really important that you pay close attention to it, train it really methodically, and then if you can, put Dragon Surf's Tea in over top of it. It'll teach you a lot more about the movement. Thanks a lot.